Jesus, our Messiah, traveled through many towns and villages, spreading the good news of God. He healed every kind of disease and illness, because when he looked at the people, he had compassion on them because they were confused and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. He said to his disciples, "The harvest is great, but the workers are few." So pray to the Lord our God, who is in charge of the harvest. Ask him to raise up more workers and send them into the empty fields.
During this time, the religious leaders heard Jesus was baptizing and making more disciples than John. Though Jesus did not baptize them, his disciples did. So, they left that region and traveled through a region where another clan lived, a clan that was looked down upon and despised. Outside of town, there was a well where Jesus met a woman. Many people from that village began to follow Jesus because she told everyone, "He told me everything I ever did." When they came out to see Jesus, they begged him to stay in their village. So Jesus stayed long enough for many more to hear the good news of God and become new followers. They said to the woman, "Now we follow Jesus, not because of what you told us, but because we have heard him ourselves. We know he is the Messiah." Later, Jesus and his disciples met a man who was possessed by evil spirits. The man lived among the tombs, and no one could control him, not even with shackles and chains, for each time he broke them. No one had the strength to overpower him. Night and day he cried out and cut himself with stones. Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" And the evil spirits replied, "Legion. For we are strong and we are many." So Jesus commanded them with authority, "Come out of the man, you evil spirits," and he allowed them to enter a herd of pigs. A crowd soon gathered around Jesus, and they saw the man who had been set free from the evil spirits. He was sitting at the feet of Jesus, fully clothed and with a sound mind. Everyone was amazed. As Jesus prepared to leave, the man who was now free from all evil spirits begged Jesus, "Please let me go with you." But Jesus said, "No, go back to your family and tell them everything God has done for you." So the man went all through his region telling others about the miracle Jesus had done for him, and he spread the good news of God to many people. Then Jesus called 12 disciples together and gave them authority to cast out evil spirits and to heal every kind of disease and illness. Jesus sent them out with these instructions. First, go to your own clan, not other tribes and clans. Share with them the good news of God. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cure those with diseases, and cast out demons. Give freely as you have received, but do not take any extra money or supplies with you. Instead, accept hospitality, because those who serve the Lord our God deserve to be fed. Whenever you enter a city or village, search for a person of peace and stay in his or her home until you leave town. When you enter the home, give a blessing. If it turns out to be a person of peace, your blessing will be received. If it is not, take back the blessing. If any household or town refuses to welcome you or listen to the good news, wipe the dust from your feet and move on. Remember the farmer who went out to plant his seed. He scattered it across his field, and some seed fell on the footpath, where it was stepped on, and the birds ate it. Other seed fell among rocks. It began to grow, but the plant soon wilted and died. Other seed fell among thorns that grew up with it and choked the plants. Still other seed fell on good soil. This seed grew and produced a harvest that was 100 times more than what had been planted. The seed that fell on the good soil represents persons of peace with a good heart who, when they hear the good news of God, hold on to God's word, and as they obey Jesus, he produces a huge harvest and they spread his good news to many more people. Look, I am sending you out as sheep among wolves. So be wise and do not hurt anyone. But be ready, for you will be handed over to the courts and you will be beaten. You will stand trial before judges and religious leaders because you are my followers. But this will be your opportunity to share with them the good news. When you are arrested, do not worry about what to say. God will give you the right words at the right time. For it is not you who will be speaking, it will be the Spirit of God speaking through you. After the 12 returned, Jesus chose 72 other disciples and sent them ahead in pairs to all the towns and places he planned to visit. These were his instructions to them: the harvest is great, but the workers are few. So pray to the Lord our God who is in charge of the harvest, ask him to raise up more workers and send them into the empty fields. Now go and remember that I am sending you out as sheep among wolves. Do not take extra money with you, and do not stop to greet anyone on the road. When you enter a house, first say, "May God's peace be on this house." If someone who lives there is a person of peace, the blessing will stand, but if not, the blessing will return to you. Do not move around from house to house. Stay in one place, eating and drinking what they set before you. Heal the sick, and share with them the good news of God. But if anyone rejects you, wipe the dust from your feet. Then the 72 disciples returned, and with joy they reported to Jesus, "Master, even the evil spirits obey us when we use your name." "Yes," Jesus replied, "I have given you authority over all the powers of darkness. But do not get excited just because evil spirits obey you. Get excited because your names and the names of others who you are discipling are written in heaven, in the book of life. For all nations will hate you because you are my followers. But each of you who endure to the end will be saved. When you face opposition in one town, go to the next town. Remember, students are not greater than their teacher, and servants are not greater than their master. Students are to be like their teacher, and servants are to be like their master. So, do not fear people who threaten you, as they did me. The time is coming when everything that is hidden will be revealed. Yes, do not fear people who want to kill your body, but cannot touch your soul. Instead, fear God, who alone can destroy your soul and body in hell. Some of you will be arrested, some will be beaten, and some will be put to death. You will be hated all over the world because you are my followers. And some of you who follow me will turn away from me. You will betray and hate my followers. Also, false prophets will appear and deceive many people. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. And the good news of God will spread throughout the whole world, so that people from all nations, tribes, and languages will hear it, and then the end will come. After Jesus was unjustly put to death, he powerfully rose from the dead and said to his disciples, "Do not be afraid. I died, but look, I am alive forevermore. And I hold the keys of death and the grave. I have been given all authority in heaven and on earth. Therefore, go and make disciples of all the nations, and baptize them in my name. Teach these new disciples to obey all the commands and instructions that I have given you. And be sure of this, I am with you always, even to the very end when I will return." One day, Paul and Barnabas, two of Jesus' followers, were led by the Spirit of God to go to Turkey. They remembered Jesus gave this command, "I have made you a light to the nations, to bring good news to the farthest corners of the earth." The people of peace they met were thankful for the good news, and many of their friends, family members, and neighbors began to follow Jesus. As a result, the good news of God spread throughout that region. However, the religious leaders caused problems, and a mob was formed against Paul and Barnabas. The mob ran them out of town, so they wiped the dust from their feet and left. The disciples in Turkey continued to multiply and were filled with joy and the Spirit of God. Give thanks to the Lord our God, for he is good. He is faithful to his promises, and his love lasts forever.